Hello guys, and thanks for joining me in the woods again. This is the woods I actually did that wild camp possibly a week ago. Since then our family has had a bit of illness within the household, so and I'm still recovering, so I haven't done a wild camp, but I'm in here doing a recce, and what I'm doing is scouting out a location for me to build that survival bushcraft shelter. I have got a video catalogue of me building one last year, which I've used extensively, but I want to build something just a fraction bigger to make it more usable and comfortable. The one I built was, yeah, very good, and it served its purpose, but I'd like something longer and something with a bit more headroom along the length of it. So I did say I was going to build that during the kids' summer holidays here in the UK, and that is still the case. But because I'm not fit enough to be out doing a wild camp, I'm going to use this time just to do a gentle walk, scout out some locations and get a feel for this woodland, and I'll be bringing you guys along. So I haven't wasted my time while I've been ill. I've been poring over maps, checking out contour lines, checking out the different varieties of woodland types that I can see for aerial photographs, and doing as much as I can while still sat on the sofa, coughing my guts up and recovering. But it still doesn't allow you to see what you really need to see. And I'm walking in a piece of the woodland which is further away from where I camped, and it's a lot younger, and because it's a lot younger, it's grown to a size that it's suppressing a lot of the understory from growing, but it's still too young for any of the native species like holly and hazel to come up and make it look a little bit disorganized and a little bit chaotic like the woodland back there I camped in. I'll let you have a look. So you can clearly see it's still quite organized in the sense that you can see it looks quite uniformed. And that's quite simply because these here, even though they're at logging potential size, they haven't been let to go much, you know, well, if it was let to go a lot longer, you would get the first signs of the native ones pushing through, like holly and hazel and stuff like that. As the ferns, they can deal with the low light conditions. There is the odd bit that's beginning to open up over there, as you can see, but because it's so uniformed and there's no other species coming through, it just looks so uniformed. You stand out like a sore thumb in amongst all this. So I've come over to this clearing, and there's so many like branches and twigs and things that have fallen down from the canopy. It's starting to open up gaps, which means you can see a little baby holly tree starting to push through. There's another one over here. That's a holly tree there. See it? And that's quite simply all this debris that's falling down over here and coming off these trees, because they've reached that size now that they're shedding limbs and stuff like that. That means other species has a chance to grow because of the light coming through the canopy now. Right, you can still see the remnants of historic tree planting. These are wraps that would have gone around the tree trunk to protect it from deers, rabbits, squirrels and that when they were young. But as you can see, that was a long time ago. Right, this piece of woodland that I'm in now is obviously of a size that's well usable for me to do any bushcraft or wild camping and build my survival shelter if I so wish to. But like I've just discussed, or you've probably got the impression, I like to be in somewhere a little bit older, that's got a little bit more of a disorganized feel. I head back up to you and show you the difference. So yeah, there's kind of like 4 different woodlands or stages or types of woodland in here. You've got like the one behind me, which is potentially at logging size, just coming up to it. It's mature enough for that. Then you've got the very older that's been kind of set aside or not been logged at this point, and it's got to the point it's almost forgotten about in a woodland. And like where I wild camped, and the trees have reached their full potential maturity wise. Then you've got the native woodland, which doesn't seem to get logged in these type of woodlands quite as much. They kind of keep those little areas, and I guess pretty much for wildlife. And then you've got the newly planted stuff up to about 25 years old, where, to be blatantly honest with you, that's no good to you as a bushcrafter or a wild camper. In a lot of cases, you can't even get into it. I've just moved over to the area where pretty much I wild camped just up there. We'll have a little look at that in a minute. But as you can see, the trees are a lot bigger, and in amongst it, even the native trees have had a chance to mature. Well, not mature, to get to a size. It provides better cover and it looks more disorganized. I mean, I'll let you have a look at this one. As you can see, it's probably twice the height of the trees from that first bit I showed you, and at least twice as big around. I'll put my hiking stick, which is 1.20 meters. I'll put that on the floor. That's 1.20 meters. So if I put it, which is almost that there, it's almost the width at the base of my hiking stick. Also, the advantage in a well mature piece of forest like this is the amount of material to work with, which these trees drop naturally. But it does look like a bit of a mess if you wanted to try and climb up there. Yeah, so we've got an oak tree here, and as you can see, it's doing very well. It's found a gap between the actual commercial trees, and it's really pushing hard to get that sunlight. The thing is, these commercial trees, once they like natural selection of the fittest, when they get to this size and they either get blown over or diseased, it creates gaps on the forest floor and it gives these a chance to grow. Here you go. Here's a hazel. Over here, there's a beech tree. A lot of debris on the floor here. And here's a beech tree. The old rhododendron doesn't take long to find a nook or a cranny and start to survive in these conditions. Trouble is, they are that invasive, they take over a forest. As you can see, these two here, they're standing dead. But I camped up over here and I can see a holly tree up there. And here's a young holly tree. He's pushing up through the gap here. And this one here is a standing dead. So this is where it's been able to get some light. Now God, the sun's quite strong right now. I'm just walking into where I camped, and I've had a bit of a discovery, so I'll let you have a look at that. But yeah, it's definitely more disorganized and a variety of trees, and all in all there's bigger areas or patches that you can actually utilize to make a camp. This is ideally what I'm looking for. So there's my tarp ridge poles that I used to create the flap for my overhang on the shelter. but it's got a better feel all the way around. There's more space because the trees have selected themselves and the weaker ones have basically come down. So I've just spotted some paint. I'm not a forester, so I don't know what significance that means, but I do know when they start marking trees on the hedgerows out our way, it means that those trees are earmarked to come down. So perhaps this part of the woodland is going to be selected to be taken down. I kind of guessed that it couldn't stay here forever. I mean, these trees are some size, these ones here. That's a lot of money's worth of wood. And for me, this is where it all starts to fall apart. On the map, you can clearly see, or aerial map, you can clearly see the difference between this age of trees and this age. I'm guessing this is like 20-25-year-old trees. But there's nothing there on offer in this size of plantation. As you can see, you can't even get in amongst that. It's just, it offers nothing to me. Great for wildlife to hide away in, but for me it offers nothing. And this goes a fair way. You can just see it's just a mess. Even if you bushwhacked in there, there'd be virtually no building material. Right, it's a coffee break time now. As I said, it was a chest infection, and after I went for that swimming Bude sea pool, my last video, it did deteriorate substantially. I don't have a lot of breath. I'm just walking around this small part of woodland here now. You can probably tell I'm out of breath. So basically, I'm not out here to punish myself. I'm just giving myself a heads up and trying to get what I see on maps and aerial photographs imprinted on my brain, what it actually looks like. Now, I've seen a couple places in amongst here that I could possibly build a shelter, but I would still like it a little bit further away from the tracks. But having said that, I don't want to go too far down that side of the woodland, because the contour lines, if contour lines are the brown lines on a map, are like 10 meters apart and they're spaced out like this, shall we say, as an example, you know it's relatively flat. But when they're that close together, you know the gradient is massively steep, quite simply because if you look over a map, you're looking at it from that perspective. So you've got to imagine those contour lines don't change in distance between themselves. That's 10 meters flat. That's 10 meters on a steep valley. All the difference between them being close together, you looking down, is the gap between that one and this one, like that, if that makes sense. It's still the same. It's just telling you it's really steep. And the contour lines over there are massively tight together. I don't want to be doing that, not just because of my condition at the minute. Even if I was fit, I want to build on somewhere flat. So yeah, there's a lot for me to take into consideration. I'm going to get a cup of coffee on the go and study the map. There is some stones in here, but they're in amongst one of the wood blocks, and I'd have to take a bearing to walk to them. I don't know if I've got time for that today. I'm just moving so slow. I'm lethargic. All my joints are kind of aching as well. I'm not spreading any illness to anybody. I'm here by myself. There's nobody around, and this is only a very short distance from my house, and I'm not stopping to see anybody, and I'm not going to meet anybody in here. But just a few days cooped up on the sofa at home, totally wiped out to the point, no energy, coughing, feeling really lightheaded. Yeah, just not feeling well at all. This is just nice to come out. I feel a real uplift in my mood already. I don't like being cooped up indoors. I like to be doing stuff or outdoors. So spending time cooped up kind of destroys my inner morale. So even though I'm not feeling fit and well, this has done me the power of good. Particularly up here, I just don't want to push myself. And for a little treat in the woods, a brownie. So I'm going to eat this, drink my coffee, have a little bit of rest and recuperation. Then we'll head on and see if we can find some locations. Like I said, there's a few in this little bit here, but it doesn't feel right yet. Right, catch you in a minute. Right then, the symbols I'm actually looking at aren't stones that I alluded to earlier, or may have. They actually are like earth stone and earthworks, possibly a cairn or something like that. And they're heading westward, which would be in that direction. We're going to continue along this track, and we're going to see how long this new plantation goes on for. We should hit a fork before it overlooks the valley. Looking at it though, it's probably a quarter of a mile before we then take a southerly route to come back around. Basically, I'm doing a big loop using the tracks, and I'm trying to get an eyes on where this forest is in its plantation cycle. The bit that I've looked at just recently and I'd like to build and I've wild camped in, I've got a funny feeling with those paint marks it's not going to be in existence much longer, or is earmarked to go. Yeah, and the bit I've shown you just a minute ago, that's of no value because it's too dense. But I'm wondering if I've looked at the aerial photographs and you can see different contrasts in colour of canopy. So I'm wondering if there are patches that are even further back in time, probably 30, maybe 40 years ago. That there's just too young for me to use. So yeah, I'm going to do the track and come around. And we may see if we can find these earthworks in here or stone tombs, but they look like they're just off the track, but it's like needle and haystack in here trying to find them. Right, I'm going to finish up, have another cup of coffee. Trouble is, now I've sat down and I've started to get my breathing back, I'm struggling to get motivated and get going again. But as you can see, I put the effort in now and hopefully it pays off. It did with my last bushcraft shelter. My last one, it took quite a few attempts to find a location, and I was grateful I put the time and effort in because it's still there. It hasn't been pulled down, knocked down, vandalised or broken. This location here, I'm not worried about it being vandalised. I just want it in a remote enough location. It's not going to be spotted by any of the forestry people doing their checks and whatever they do. And being a part of the forestry, which isn't too old where it's going to be logged, but not too new that, yeah, you can't get into it. Right, I'm going to finish this. Well, you can see that trail going in there, but look, there's no way you could do anything with that. It would be like bushwhacking through the Amazon jungle. Right guys, I've just come off the main track into a slightly more developed piece of woodland. Still quite tightly packed in here, but I'm hoping I can find something a little bit more further on the inside that I can use. It's just I'm using some of these drainage gullies as not only my way to navigate in here, but to give me an indication of which direction I want to go. There are tracks in here, there's deer using this. It is still looking a bit too densely packed for me to use. Yeah, these trees aren't developed enough. I'll be working hard for what I want to do. Nah. Nice try. Alright, let's get back out on the track and not waste any more time. Now you can see those trees in the foreground over there are a lot older, way older than these here, but I'm hoping there may be somewhere down there I can get in amongst, but I've got to find this fork in the road, which I think should be up here. In fact I think it is. So there you go folks, we got to take the left hand one that way, and the track going down is what's indicated on the map as dropping down to a severe gradient, and it looks like that track zigzags all the way down, and the contour lines are really stacked close together. I'm not up to do that today. I just wanted to give you a flavour of what I'm doing in this woodland. Now this this trackway is one of the main ones being used. You can see that. Look at this, it's pristine. And look at the one I've just come down. This is the one that sees the least traffic and the one I ought to really be concentrating on. But we'll follow this for a moment so I can see the woodland from, or this particular part of the plantation from this angle. I've just come off the track, I can't resist it. This is looking really nice in here. I think if you go along a bit further, the new trees will provide some cover. But just over that ridge you can already see it's dropping off quite substantially. There's an old hose, hydraulic hose. That's been there for a while. There's enough building materials here to work with. And it's getting a bit of sun. Oh, look at this. There's an egg there. Something has just hatched recently. Right. I'm not going to go. There's some fencing material there. I'm wondering if they did that. That was what they used to do to stop deers eating the bark. You can see it's that old like chicken wire stuff wrapped right the way around. Right, let's keep going. Fresh bit of fox scat there. This part of this, it's just too close to that track. It's only probably 30 meters above me. This is it's a nice piece of woodland here. It's getting sun at this time of day. It's wide open. Oh, I'd love to build here, but I'd be asking for trouble. Now that track I showed you, which was heading downhill, I've just walked down through that bit. I've just been exploring, and I've come down to where it's basically like the roads in the Alpines. It literally zigzags all its way, all the way down the hill, and we've just hit the part where you can see how steep it starts to drop off. And just over what I'm going to show you, it drops off well past what you're looking at. There you go. Going up there. I've just come down through there. Oh boy. I can't. Can I? I don't want to burn my lungs out. I'll go a little way. I'm actually leaning back into this now. Yeah, this is going off down, and it looks like there's another track just down there as it zigzags all the way down this hill, and it gets steeper and steeper and steeper. Just turning around here. I'm not going any further, I'll be burning my lungs out. But yeah. No, this ain't no good to build on this. Well, that was nice to see that deer. But it's a reminder of another reason I'm here, to check out areas where deer stands or pheasant feeding or anything like that in relation to hunting could be. So then obviously I know what seasons to avoid coming here. But yeah, that is just a reminder to keep looking for deer stands. Right, I've hit a junction. I'm going to get the map out and just, I think I know where I'm going, but hey, I don't have a lot of puff to just keep walking aimlessly around. Right, I've pulled myself off the tracks. I've come into the tree line a little bit. I've taken a knee, so I'm immediately out of sight if anybody is on these tracks. Quite simply, I want to actually, what I'm seeing there on the tracks doesn't feel like or represent what I have in my head at the moment. So yeah, let's not just, this woodland goes on for miles. And you can probably tell I'm not up for miles and miles of walking around in circles. Right. North that way. Right. We've just come up there. Let's orientate this map. Right. Yeah, it is that track there. It's not the one going down there. That is only just well, it's only got two dots. It basically stops just around the corner. So I gotta continue along that one. It doubles back in around into that woodland a bit more. I should hit another track, which will be going up in a northwesterly direction. As soon as I find that, I know just past that there's a good chance we might see that earthworks, ancient earthworks. But I'm not going to bust a gut to try and find it today. Quite simply, time. I don't feel 100%. I know I'm making a big deal of it. It's not a man flu situation. It's just yeah, I really just don't feel up to it. But yeah, if you're ever doing something like this, it is a good idea, obviously, to let somebody know where you are, but try to approach it with a little bit of stealth and a little bit of professionalism. Not only for your own benefit, it's also courteous to the people or the organisations that own the land, because quite simply, leave no trace, no mess. They don't want to know you've been here, they don't want you in here, so quite simply, you know, no harm is done if nobody knows or sees you here. So yeah, let's crack on. And somebody's got a sense of humour. Look at that, a stone man. There's his hat, there's his arms, belly and feet. Look at that. I've got no idea how long ago that was actually built, but doing my research on this, I do know, I can't remember the time or times or when it happened, but they have held orienteering competitions in here. I can see why, it'd be quite challenging, but yeah, I can imagine it would be a headache if you got a load of kids in here wandering around with maps. I would definitely want to be putting some sort of tracking devices on them. But in any case, I'm getting to some bigger bits of woodland again now. It's all I'm just passing this small stuff again. Like I said, all this part of the woodland's got no value to me. Well, I've just come up that trackway and I assumed it would be similar to that. So I'm guessing what I'm looking at on the map is that trackway going in through there. So I didn't pace it out. That's a schoolboy error in its own right. I should have actually paced that out, worked out how many meters it was, and converted it like to my paces and gone from there, but I didn't. I'm hoping it's that, but those stone cairns, there's two, there's one either side of the track. Do I walk along the inside of this woodland, or am I just burning time needlessly? Let's have a look. Would I recognise it as a cairn, or would I be looking at just thinking it's a load of tree stumps? I wonder if they've actually, you know, marked it off and wire fenced it off. I'll fight my way through here for a little while and see what I come up with, and then you guys can have a look if I find anything. Well, I'm not getting overexcited. It could just be a mound of earth, but that the people, when they were building tracks back there, chucked it. But I actually think I found it now. So let's go over. I'm hoping it is. You'll see over there in amongst the trees, that shallow mound, and it looks like the centre is sunken. Let's make our way over. There's no mine workings in this area, and there should be another one just on the opposite side of the road, a bit deeper in to the actual woodland on the opposite side of the track. Yeah, I think this is it. You can see the circle of the earthworks here, and it would have been a burial chamber in the centre. Actually, it would have took a lot of work to do this. Yeah. Oh, I'm really stoked I found this now. Yeah, the centre's collapsed in on itself. Let's go around the outside. Right, I'm walking along the top of the circumference of it, and you would have seen it from the track down there. So I could have walked just a bit further along the track and been able to see it. Oh, you can clearly see how defined the slope is all the way around here. I'm guessing it was made from earth and stone. And looking back into it here, oh, I'm really pleased I found this. Right, let's get back on the road. So that's what it looks like from this angle. Unless you looked at a map or you were familiar with what you were looking at, you might just think this is probably some ancient mine works or something. A lot of effort would have had to been put into building that. That's hundreds of tons of earth and stones. The other one is in there somewhere, not too far in. It can't be no more than, I don't know, 50 metres in. But I really don't have time to look for that one. I'm just pleased I found that one. We'll come back and have a look at that. What's that in there? I'll have a look. Well guys, we're back to where we started and I am totally thrashed. I shouldn't be. That was a good few miles, don't get me wrong, but most of it was on hard standing road. I was diving in and off to explore places. But no, it really did thrash me. I've not got a lot left in reserve. What do I think about going even deeper into this woodland? Well, obviously, naturally, I am who I am. I want to do it. Not till I'm feeling up to it. But I shan't be building a shelter past the boundaries of the loop I've done. Quite simply because I don't want to make coming here a complete day activity for myself. Because it's so close to home, I want to be able to just come here, do a few hours, then extract out, and not burn a hole in any of my family's time, day or requirements. So it will be within this loop that I've just done. 90% of it, as you've seen, won't be appropriate to do it. And I did stumble across a piece of woodland which I did think was going to be fantastic. But way off in the distance I could see a house, so if I had a lantern, a torch, I would be seen. So I've had to discount that already. There's a few bits that I've seen I'm quite happy with, but I'll come back with the dog and do a little recce off camera just to select the right one. And then after this one, the next one will be to start getting all the materials together. I do it in stages: the recce, getting the materials, the build, and then using it for doing overnighters and things like that. And that's the sequence I followed on the last one, and I'm doing it here. So thanks for coming along. It's been a little bit disjointed and it may be a little bit long-winded, but I am documenting this for my own archive and record as well. So you know, if you got to the end, thanks very much. And I hope you've enjoyed spending a little bit of time with me in this beautiful woodland. There's so much more to explore, but that will be under a hiking guise, not looking to build a shelter. The shelter has to be within the parameters I've walked. And even then, on the furthest extremities, that's a fair way to go in before you even start doing any work. Right, I'm going to call it an end of day here. I'm absolutely thrashed. I want to get a drink, something to eat, and I don't suppose it wouldn't be if you were to knock on my door, you may actually find me stretched out on the couch under a blanket asleep. I'm that thrashed. But take care, stay safe, and I hope to catch you guys out on the trail.